I think we can go ahead and get started now. It is 12:01. Before we get into introductions and turn it over to Nathan, just want to welcome everybody to this highway self-improvement workshop. This is the second one. I believe this has been done at Fast Plan. Last year we did it in February. And we're doing this one here today, but I do hope that it becomes an annual workshop for all of our local partners. I believe what Nathan's going to present today is an overview of the Highway Safety Improvement Program, the funding, how projects are selected. We're going to get some insight into some of the crash data for the Fairbanks North Pole area, and then take a look at some of the existing safety projects that are funded with Highway Safety Improvement Program dollars, and then hopefully some corridors or intersections that DOT is taking a look at for some potential future projects. And hopefully we can all share some thoughts and opinions here today about safety projects in our area. So before we kick it off to Nathan to begin his presentation, let's go around the room and do some introductions, just your name and the organization that you're with, and then what committee you might serve on, whether you're on the technical committee, the policy board, or if you're just a DOT staff member. And we'll do folks in person first, and then we'll get to the folks online. And we'll start with Mr. Natardis.
I'm John Natardis. I'm a design manager at DOT. I sit on the technical committee for fast planning for DOT.
Bob Pristash, outgoing city engineer. I'm on the technical committee.
Tim Zinza, acting city engineer, on the technical committee.
I didn't even recognize you. I'm so.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Sorry, we've been seeing in a while. Pam Golden, I'm the state traffic and safety engineer.
We know each other.
Yeah, this is probably your introduction. Christine Langley, I'm the Data Modernization and Innovation Director for DOT.
Nathan Stephen, I'm the Road Safety Engineer for the Highway Safety Office.
I'm Jackson Fox, Director of Fast Planning.
Robbie Lunsford, Transportation Planner at Fast Planning.
I'm Corey Drulian. I'm a Transportation and Transit Planner at Fast, and
Tim Spry, I'm the Northern Region HSIP Coordinator.
Tim, I work for City of North Pole, on the technical committee.
Travis Nybert, I'm on the walk, ride, and roll advisory.
I'm Crystal Tidwell. I'm on Fairbanks City Council, and I am on the call.
Jacob Tarek, a UAF project manager on the technical committee.
Mayor Church.
Larry Church, Mayor City North Pole Policy Committee.
Randy Bailey, DOT Transportation Planner.
Elegant with Fairbanks North Borough. No committees.
And John.
John Weinberger, Fort Wainwright, still manager and fund.
Okay, online, I'll call it your first name and go ahead and introduce yourself. We'll start with Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Riopel, and I'm in the highway state. I'm the HSIP engineer under Pam and Nathan.
Wonderful. Alexa.
Good morning. This is Alexa Green. I am Eielson Air Force Base Community Partnership Specialist and Tribal Liaison now, previously the Community Planner.
Welcome. Corey.
Hi, I'm Corey Richardson with Tanana Chiefs Conference, and I'm in one of the facilities project managers.
Great. Yvette.
Hi, Yvette Paul, Alaska DOT NPF. I'm a design manager.
Last but not least, Ron.
Ron Davis, I'm the DOT Maintenance and Operations Superintendent, and I'm also on the Walk, Ride, and Roll Advisory Committee.
Awesome. All right, anybody I missed? I think so. Okay, I'm going to turn the floor over to Nathan and his team to give you all a presentation on the Highway Safety Improvement Program.
Okay, thanks Jackson, and thanks everybody for coming here today. And these workshops are intended to walk through our screened crash data and highlight our high crash locations and gather input from you all here on what our preferred segments the MPO would like for us to focus on once we get to the screened crash data that our nomination process has gotten us to. So go ahead, next slide. Just an overview of today's outline. So had some recent changes within the Data Modernization Innovation Office. Go through that real quick, and then we'll jump into the Highway Safety Improvement Program, commonly referred to HSIPs, acronym we use. You hear us say that a lot, that's what we're referring to. And then the purpose, funding, and selection processes associated with the program. And then we'll get diving into the review of the locations that we've screened for Northern Region and more specifically within the fast planning boundary MPO. Looking at reported crash data and which has been our traditional source used, and now we're expanding into using other resources. INRIX is a product we use now, looking through VRU focused information, updated maps, and other things. And then, yeah, touch on some resources you're all available to utilize now, coming up in the future, and just for background info on our HSIP program, if you're interested to go read on that. So next slide, please. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's been some recent changes. Highway Safety Office. So if I trip up and say, refer to us as statewide, we were statewide. We're now technically in the Highway Safety Office. Pam here is a statewide traffic engineer. So Pam, myself, Sarah, we're in the Highway Safety Office, which traditionally Highway Safety Office referred to like crash data and the behavioral side of DOT's crash program. So now we're combining our engineering side with the behavioral side. So and then just restructuring efforts and doing this is built towards better collaboration, coordination with regions, MPOs, and the Highway Safety Office, with the goal of delivering improvements efficiently and ensuring HSIP funding is fully utilized each year. So I most recently was the Northern Region. I came from Northern Region. I was the regional transportation safety engineer there for 3 years. Just moved over here beginning of March. Anyways, that's my background. So, okay, thanks. Purpose. Okay, so funding for the HSIP is apportioned by Congress, and it's subject to annual obligation limits established by congressional finance committees. HSIP, it is a federally mandated program managed by Alaska DOT, and our purpose is to reduce serious and fatal injuries on Alaskan highways and roads. And that's achieved by developing, implementing, and evaluating engineering countermeasures to maximize our crash reductions. And as part of that, we focus on the 4 E's of the safe system approach. Look at the 4 E's: education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency personnel and response. So we consider those when addressing safety problems. And then again, all HSIP projects align with one or more strategic highway safety plan, SHSP strategies. And the SHSP is a requirement of the HSIP, and it's managed by program development and by us. Like I said, I'm new here. And let's see, the HSIP program. We're the only program that evaluates our own cost effectiveness. And as of 2023, the program had an average benefit cost ratio of 6.5 to 1. So we're pretty proud of that. Funding, there's a different funding types. Money is appropriated for railroad safety, highway safety improvement program, and penalty funding. Just a broad overview of that. We don't need to delve into that because I don't think you're interested in it. And it's really boring. Okay, so next is the selection process. And so, and that's what our today's focus is going to be on. So we'll kind of jump to that here in a few slides. But basically, we have ranked projects and non-ranked projects. So each region screens crash data, ranks by analyzing benefit costs of specific safety related improvements. And then non-ranks are like your implemented locations with a systemic safety issue. So like a recent example of that would be our Fairbanks area signals upgrades. So something that is not centralized to one location, it's system-wide that we can improve upon. So range on range, okay, so we went through research potential solutions. It's looking at safety countermeasures and everything. We get to a point where we would start writing scope schedule estimate, get costs, project planning for future years, and then once all that gets compiled, the Highway Safety Office gets the nominations from each region, reviews them and ranks them based on cost benefit ratios. And that's our scoring and ranking system. And then once that has all been verified and penciled out, our RTSEs, that's our regional traffic safety engineers. So northern regions here in Fairbanks, central regions in Anchorage, and then South Coast. They all submit projects to the Highway Safety Office, who then forward them on for approval to the chief engineer. And again, approval goes on to the program development. Oh, but we're doing the fun.
So yeah, I'll just take over here for a second, because again, like this all has changed recently. So the projects will come to our office, and then basically we go to the commissioner's office to get approval to forward them into the funding plan. So we make the determination of eligibility for the program. The commissioner's office says go forward with these, this suite of projects. And then that's when the funding plan is then issued. Sometimes reissued, as we learned last year, but and we do our best to try to fund as much as we can in any given year.
Okay, and then the last step, once we get an approved funding plan, our projects get distributed out to each region for their pre-construction design managers, start planning out these projects. Next slide, please. Okay, summary. So again, HSIP projects are data-driven. We identify high crash locations, evaluate corrective measures with our safety countermeasures and crash modification factors. Rankings are based on cost effectiveness, which is the benefit cost ratio, and then evaluate projects for effectiveness. This is our post-construction. We monitor crash data along those segments or intersections or areas for 3 years to evaluate, did our safety countermeasure actually work the way we predicted it would. And then I put this in here, the STIP versus the HSIP projects, because we get a lot of questions like, hey, how come, how come HSIP can't pay for this type of project? Or how come HSIP can't use money for this type of project? That's, again, HSIP data driven. We have to have that behind it for nominating and ranking. And versus STIP, there's many competing needs and influences that vie for project funding through other programs. So
I have one piece here.
Yes, please.
I think the other thing that's important that's different is HSIP is a program within the STIP. And so when you look at some of our interactive tools, you'll see the Highway Safety Improvement Program, but you'll just see it as a bucket of money and you don't necessarily see all that breakdown. But it itself is a program of projects that is in one bucket within the STIP.
thank you. Okay, so here's the big reveal. Here we are for next slide, please.
Okay.
Here's our screening results. We'll be diving into. So this is kind of just this is our current crash data program. So what we're looking at here is just a visualization of all the crashes over this current 5-year period, which is 2020 to 2024. So this is what all the crashes reported crashes look like within FNS Fairbanks North Star boundary. So next slide. So once we pare that down to what is in the MPO here and for FAST, this is what it looks like. And then next slide. This is where we're at to talk to today. So previous slide was all the crashes. This slide is all those crashes have gone through the screening process And this is, what we end up with the high crash locations.
Okay.
Yes.
So in order to be on the high crash list, you have to have one fatal injury or two serious injuries within a mile within that 5 years. So that's how the mess of dots becomes these.
Yeah, and then we'll take these high crash locations. They go into a Excel spreadsheet, and you can go to the next slide there, Olivia, please. So all those crashes go on onto this spreadsheet, and then you go. So, and these are ranked. So this is what our ranking system would be. These are ranked according to
Crash cost per mile.
yes. And then so this is the first step that, and this is Tim, your regional HSIP coordinator. He goes through, sets us all up. Then next step is to go through and look at the comments. Sorry, if you go back one slide. Go through the comments and identify. So we'll identify projects that are currently in construction, currently in design, or sometimes in planning. And then also identify if it's in an area or segment that was already a HSIP project, which we're monitoring for 3 years post-construction. So we don't want to step again on that project. So those get all filtered out, and what's left are the locations eligible for nomination this year, which are the rows without a comment. So the first one on the list is gonna be College Road. Yeah. And
Anybody.
so College Road, and if you want to go to the next slide, we have a visual. I think this one shows it better. So this is everything that was on the previous screen. Green lines are the segments that, again, we've have comments on, and projects that are either in design, construction, post-construction. And the red ones are segments with no current projects. So these are ones that are eligible. Yes.
Are these slides online?
No,
There.
no, they're not. And always been, our screening process is protected process. So we do this as coordination. At which point we decide what goes forward and doesn't go forward is protected because you can't be sued over you didn't do something. So when we get to a project nomination, then that project nomination becomes public.
Okay, so our top ones are College Road. Excuse me, and then, sorry, I have a.
Badger Road.
Yep, and then Badger Road, the whole length of Badger Road. Airport eastbound, Pegger Road, and Johansson Expressway from westbound 1 to 4. So those should be all the reds that you see. There's also, oh, sorry, Dennis Road, and yeah, so this is where we're at today. And so before Tim starts doing a deep dive into the crash data and seeing why these locations showed up in our high crash locations, he's gonna look and see what crash types are these associated with, read the crash narratives. Are there a lot of runoff roads? What can be done about this? Are there, or are there just kind of one-offs, which,
For example, Dennis is a one-off.
Dennis is a one-off. There was a pedestrian fatality on it at night in the winter, wearing dark clothing, walking on the side of the road. That's the only crash that happened, but since it was a fatality, it hit. Whereas if you look at Badger, or, well, let's see, I think one of the next slides. Yeah, you want to go to the next slide? So again, here's some additional screening tools that we have available to us. This one comes from INRIX, which I don't know how you, INRIX is like a
Do you guys have
data.
access to Inrix yet? You know,
I don't know.
send me an
This
email,
would
we
be
can
rather
get you
than-
access to Inrix, we can also get you guys access to Inrix
That'd be
if you're
great.
interested.
So INRIX is look and
Maybe
Crowdsourced data.
let's talk about what
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
We're offering it.
So Inrix is a crowdsourced data platform, so they pull mostly from GM, but from other connected vehicles. So it's a limited data source, you know, it doesn't have everything. But what it provides us is we can get real-time speed data. Again, it's off of the handful of people who are in that type of vehicle. It's got things like hard braking, hard acceleration, hard cornering. If somebody's pedestrian automatic braking was engaged. We have 5 years of crash data pulled into it, but we haven't gotten the latest year in. So it can allow you to pair up these different sorts of things. It can tell you how fast people are speeding over, you know, based on what quarter it is. And I know Nathan's got some slides because we were playing it with it last night to get some that show, you know, as you might expect, every signalized intersection has a whole lot of hard braking at it. That's what we do. But you know, when we see a pattern, of hard braking somewhere else, then it's like, we need to dial into that. What's going on there? Is there a high demand for pedestrian crossing, or is it a bad driveway with bad sight distance? Like, you know, those sorts of things that we can dive into, but we can share it with our government partners off of our purchase of it. So
great. And so what we're looking at here is Badger at what are those intersections? There's PD Nordale, so Nordale.
yeah, that's PD on the top, Badger on the bottom. There's Nordale's right there, right?
Yeah.
Nordale, and
So so the focus on this slide is areas, clusters of hard braking, what is it, hard
Acceleration.
acceleration.
we did this one. I think we pulled it to just being the hard braking when we were. This is the map we did last night.
Yeah.
I think we pulled out the hard acceleration, just to keep the map. It's a really cool tool, but it gets cluttered very quickly. So we just wanted to show something that was somewhat easier to take in at a screen level.
So this is all building up to a couple slides in the future. Yes.
Oh, we can get you access to, sorry. No, hold on.
The numbers mean the number of hard stops.
In 1/4 of the year, so I think this is the
Q3 of
third quarter of
25.
25. Mind you, it's a very small data set. It's like 3 to 5% of the driving that's out there, but it does give us some clues.
But that's the idea. There's
Yeah.
42
Yes, you're
hard
correct.
stops there for
It's
3
a-
months.
Cluster effectively within this same almost exact area, 42 people.
So they're
It's
coming
the
into,
intersection of Nordale and Badger.
they're coming in hot and go, oh, I have to stop now.
Right.
Is there any way to suss out if this is the same driver or these are individuals? Because if it's the same,
Well,
you know what?
yeah,
It's
it
kind of.
could be. So the other thing INRIX does not give us, but we were really hoping for was some VRU data. VRU is vulnerable road user for anybody who doesn't know, it's the people who walk, bike, and roll. They found that Alaska's data source data was far too limited to give us anything useful. But as a result, we got the whole state instead of just what the area we were looking at. So
But to answer your question, the data
No.
is randomized intentionally so that, you know, it's aggregated up and it's not identifying an individual, a vehicle, or somewhere we should send the troopers.
they just merged with TomTom or acquired TomTom, so we're expecting a big jump in the amount of data that's out there. Yeah,
Did they tell you how many people participated in this
so
in that quarter?
no, we don't, they can tell us, I think they can tell us roughly the penetration rate based on what we say our daily traffic is and what they're getting, and that's what I said, it's newer GM vehicles for sure.
Right.
None of the crowdsourced people will tell you who all they buy from. So like I have a Nissan, I don't know if my data's in there.
Right.
And it's connected, but
With like
That-
small
that's a
numbers,
great-
it could literally be
Right,
one
it could
driver.
be,
42 times.
yeah.
Not just 42, every
Yeah,
point on Badger in 3 months, right? If there's just one horrible driver.
It's a great question.
It could be
And it's
just-
one that-
There's one vehicle.
he's busy then, because he's all over there.
As we look at all of these data sets, I mean, we're trying to expand the data we're acquiring. And that's a question we ask a lot is because their icons look the same and it's like, great, well, is that 3 people or is that 300 people? And they're very hesitant to, absolutely unwilling to really disclose that to us.
Yeah. Okay.
And so some of it, and I think Ethan's gonna talk about it, this is, it's not necessarily that we take this and run with it. It's that we start layering these pieces to get a better overall picture. No one of them is all of our.
How do we, and really what we're trying to get at is how do we get ahead of the next fatality? Like, if this is a repetitive thing at this location, we have crash data at Nordale Badger for sure. So that's like not a spot we would maybe not be anticipating something to happen. Like we've got the crash data, so we can react and be proactive, but where we really want to get to this is trying to be more proactive with where we're going after projects. So that we don't want anybody to be seriously injured or killed. So we can start seeing these near miss spots. That's really what we're trying to get at. Where are these near misses happening? And Alaska's data is limited, so it's always going to be a challenge.
Yeah, and with our traditional crash screening, we, verified crash data, we get, you saw it's 2020 through 2024, so we're a year behind because everything's gotta get filtered and, verified QA/QC. So 2020 through December 31st of 2024 is the most recent crash data that we're able to work with, whereas with INRIX, we're able to look today or within the last 2 years, 8 quarters
by
of
quarter.
what's happening. So,
And they do things, they have some safety scores they assign that they do, and it's based on body style of vehicle out there. Being hit by a sedan is different than being hit by a large SUV, so they factor in like the fleet mix, they factor in what they've learned about hard braking, hard acceleration, speed and percent speeding. So they can assign risk scores to corridors as well. It's a fun thing to really dive down a rabbit hole one day and try to figure out all the things that.
Have you gotten a review on the constitutionality of a government agency and some data?
We find in every crowd. No, I know that on the, I know that there was a big lawsuit that took place, and so I think you have to opt in now. A lot of this does come from the people who opt in for insurance purposes because they want the safe driving discount. By the time we get it, it's all of that legality stuff has been dealt with on the owner side of the vehicles and the data.
And it's part of why we have no possible way to know who or,
Yeah,
how many people are involved.
and read the fine print when you buy a car.
Right, Don?
Was the 3-year review for Badger Road ever done? Was that an HSIP project?
It was, and it was.
What did it tell you?
We got exactly what we thought we were gonna get.
Working.
No, 0.2 to 1, which is what we thought we were gonna get, just around that.
Yep.
So we got exactly the crash reduction we expected to get. But jumping the gun on Badger, what we dealt with were the pieces between the major intersections. What's still left are the 5 intersections on Badger where we're still doing problems because the 2-way left turn lane just came into the normal turn lane. And then, so we dealt with those kind of ridiculous numbers of driveways through the 2-way left turn lane, but we still have the Nordale PD, Marigold, yeah.
Are most of those winter, their season, what I'm saying is sometimes a year you just can't see the lines.
Yeah,
Versus-
we haven't
versus
deep
being
dived
able to
yet.
see the line. When you're in the back pocket versus.
That's a good thought, though. We can work at looking at the data to see if we can, it'll reveal that.
and that is
A winter factor.
Yeah, if you go back to the location map, it shows not just the intersection clusters, but it shows the entire roadway with crashes.
This.
Now, if you go back to the one.
One dot.
And that is reporting all crash types, so
All severities.
minors, made, property damage only, no apparent injuries. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do we want to let you get back on track?
We can go to the next one, is another INRIX, snapshot. And this is just, right in that same location between, just west of, Nordale. There's a
There's a tiny blue dot.
blue
I don't know
dot
if
on
you
it.
can-
Yeah, so that's the segment we're looking at. Again, INRIX, we can filter, through different segments. This one we isolated for just showing speed. So this one shows, this shows, average, speed limit is 55, average speed, or sorry, 85th percentile speed, for Q3 of 2025 was 62 miles an hour in this location. And then, that last one was, speed, 6%, people are going 10 miles an hour above the speed limit. So
And
there's a
again,
histogram
limited
there.
data set, so not the same
Yeah.
as we would get like
GM.
counters or.
So just another tool that we can utilize and match up with our traditional screening data. So if you want to go to the next slide, so these all build up into right here. So here's Q4. This is the latest data set that we have available to us. So Q4 2025, these are our risk scores, which is a sum of hard braking and speeding. So higher the traffic volume, the wider, thicker the band is on the segment. And so low risk is going to be your light blues, and the high risk are going to be the hot pink there. And so this is a data fusion of connected vehicles and mobile telematics. Connected vehicles, Pam and Christine talked about, so your smart cars and sensors, the accelerometers, and then your mobile telematics is your telephone, honestly, and your insurance apps, hardware that's connected to your phone through Bluetooth. So if we then look at this map versus what we showed in our segments with no current projects or segment screen through our handbook criteria, a lot of these match up for the high risk locations. So if you look at Badger Road, if you want to, can you screen in on, zoom in on Badger Road, you can see all those routes along Badger Road, those cross section intersecting streets. So Old Ridge, Holmes, PD, Nordale, Bradway, Rep, Platte, and Hearst. All of those are on the high end of the risk analysis. So again,
The fun part here is that little speck of light blue, those are the roundabouts.
yeah, so the low risk is the roundabout.
Yeah, behave.
And Gaffney, Fort Wainwright. So yeah, you don't want to be speeding on
And on
Wainwright.
base.
So
Speed on base.
So, I mean, what we look through this and it's like, yeah, this kind of truths out what our other screening processes showed. And yes, John.
Have you compared that speed thing on the last slide to like a real speed study? Are they close? We have one on Holmes and that's a highlighted thing. Have we ever taken a look at it to kind of truth the INRIX?
So unless there's a continuous count station out there, the only speed data you're gonna get is this or asking traffic and safety to go out, get you.
So we have an actual out there, we got
You
one.
have a continuous count station or you got
No,
a
we
speed sub?
shot it for a while, and I see if it was like close to the 85th percentile speed.
Maybe,
or
we've
what.
only been playing with this for. Well,
Oh, okay.
But that's a great idea. If you've got some data, yeah, let's look at it.
But yeah, anytime a physical speed study comes in, maybe compare to this and see if it's ever right or wrong.
But it looks like Badger Road itself isn't actually that high as the side roads coming into Badger. So is that why you're identifying the intersections as being the problem?
Actually, that is just institutional knowledge and history, I think.
Yeah, and then what was our other top? Badger and then College. So College is also the high risk, and it's thicker band showing the higher ADT. So anyways, just kind of areas that truth out all our, if you go through, look our screening process locations, this pretty much mirrors that. So okay, next slide. So this is where we're at here. This is our timeline for our HSIP process. Right now, in the process of going through our workshops with our NPO partners. So Tim is our coordinator for your region. He screened the data, got it to us last week. Here we are at the workshops, and then here's just kind of a timeline of where we need to be and when, and what processes need to be done at those timelines to get a project through to nomination and approval. So
It's our busy season. That's the crux of this.
yeah, so next slide. And so here just I'll put some resources that you may be interested in. So the HSIP website, you can go look at our screening tape, our screening workbooks, our handbook to, you really want to dive in and see all the rules and escalators, how they factor in our cost benefit ratios for ranking projects. Again, just a reference to our SHSP website, and then our partners in safety. That's another website we have where there's a safety concern reporter. You can go there. That's another data set that we look at when compiling our screening. So, you know, our crash screening has typically been, you know, identifiable, reported crash location reports, whereas our partners in safety is, I live out on some podunk road and there's always a problem with the guardrail or something that we would never show up. Things that won't show up in crash reports that you want to report to us, and we can take a look at that as well. NHTSA behavioral grants window is currently open. Pam, do you want to have any?
Yeah, so that's more on the behavioral side. I think we talked about it in years past, but it's for grants for doing bicycle education, pedestrian education, enforcement. We do a lot of enforcement grants. So if that's of interest to any of the localities, just tag me afterward and we can talk more about it. But that's open till the end of April, but we can squeak that a little longer if you're thinking you want to do something and you can't make that timeline.
Thanks. And then lastly, our public crash portal. Right now, we are using a product called CARE. This is open to the public. You can go, it's pretty limited. You can search filter by crash severity, years, crash type, I think. But we're in the process of transitioning over to AstroWare Safety later this year. It's a product by Numetrics. And so at some point, we'll be able to share with our local government partners access to that product as well.
And it's a more robust product than our current ones as far as like what you can filter out immediately and look for.
Yeah.
It will still have the public component as well.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to bring partners additional access.
There it is. Thanks, Olivia. This is what the looks like right now.
This is my favorite. Loose filter. Loose filter.
People get
Loose
really
filter.
concerned about loose crashes. So. That's why every time they like moose, when they just put it on there, we promise people are interested. So. So gonna dial into the segments. I'm here for the juicy part.
Well, I guess I wanted to make a comment and then we'll have Pam do the rebuttal. Before we dive into those crash segments. So the Highway Safety Improvement Program typically produces the most controversial projects in our area.
Fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
No rebuttal.
Okay, no rebuttal, all right.
Next.
So, but when you look at the process that is outlined here with Highway Safety Improvement Program funds, so these roads are getting screened, and then I like to say behind closed doors, projects are being dreamt up, identified, vetted, and then, you know, from the Highway Safety Office, they're gonna go to the commissioner in a draft plan, the commissioner signs off on these. There is no part of this process in which these projects are presented for vetting through our technical committee or policy board or walk, ride and roll advisory committee. for any input before these lists are finalized by the commissioner's office. But then after the fact, after these are an approved funding plan, the expectation is that our organization put these projects in our transportation improvement program, our TIP document for our funding plan. So for them to proceed forward, that has to happen. So there is a backstop with our policy board. They can say, hey, what's this PD Nordell roundabout project all about? Like, maybe our policy board or, doesn't want that to advance. So we get ourselves into this risky situation of, a project's been identified, it'll clearly reduce the crash rate or clearly improve safety, but politically it may not be supported or the area residents may not want it. But if the policy board says no, then that project, like, it goes away, and whatever money that may have been devoted to it and the safety improvements that could be realized, that goes away too. And that money could be spent in Anchorage or Juneau or some other part of the state. So these projects are said this before, lack of better words, they're being done to us, not being done with us. But we do have a role at the end of this process to add them to our funding plan. And I haven't seen an example yet of where we've ever rejected one, but it's gotten close. So, so just kind of eyes open. This is different than the other federal funding categories that are available to Alaska and are available to our area. So, but I think that these annual workshops on this program are a really good step forward to have this conversation. And hey, now we know they're looking at College Road. Now we know they're looking at Badger Road. And it won't be a surprise when some new projects, we are made aware of some new projects, safety projects on those corridors. So for right now, I think this is the best we can get. But
our intention as well is to share more and more of this data that we're acquiring, into anything that look at buying, we make sure that we have the ability to share it with our partners, because to your point, we don't want you to just find out we're looking there. We want you guys to be able to use that same data and see those same conditions that are existing that maybe we can work together to solve.
that's all I want to say.
No, and I actually appreciate you saying that. I mean,
Yep.
that is definitely, we've learned that not just in Fairbanks, but across the state of,
Yep, Anchorage as well here.
yeah, that, and that's where these workshops sort of came out of.
And that's a lot of the motivation for the changes in the creation of the Highway Safety Office as its own entity, is so that we make sure that every MPO, every area of the state gets attention, gets both that combination of institutional regional knowledge coming in, along with data sets and an understanding of the funding, because it is different in this program than it is in a lot of other areas for it.
All right.
Now, do we want to talk
Let's do
about?
it. Let's get into the fun part.
All right. I'm so excited to talk about College and Badger. So only because I think those are the two easiest, to me. I mean, we've been talking about College Road since I had my last child, and he's gonna turn 12 this year. So, we all know what happened. Does everybody know what happened with College Road in 2014? Okay, well, of course I know you know. If anybody wasn't around in 2014, that was when we did a PM job on College Road. There was a College Road study that Fast Planning did, it's predated Jackson as well, I think.
I was around.
You were around, but yeah, but in a different role. And the Fast Corridor Plan, I don't know if that's the right word for it, basically identified 3-lane in College Road. There was an attempt to put that into the PM project. Lots of public outcry, the packed public meeting at the fairgrounds. I learned that night what Agenda 21 was, when we were accused of that. We were all, what does that mean? But ultimately, it was the policy board at that time that said, no, back off, restripe it as 4-lane. So is that College?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went and got some drone to show its functionality as a three lane.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, but College Road persists on staying on our high crash screening list. The driveway density is even higher than it was on Badger, if I'm not mistaken. And so, this is one of those where we know the solution will be controversial if that's the direction we go. I'll go ahead and, elephant in the room maybe for some of us is the, lane analysis policy that DOT put into place last year. If you're taking away, lanes, that there's some work that has to be done to show that the road will continue to function at acceptable levels. Fortunately, the groundwork that was laid in 2014, I think if that were to go forward, that's there. We just freshened it up because I don't think volumes on College Road have really changed much. When the Johansson was built, the volumes on College Road dropped drastically, and unless we have the Johansson closed for some reason, the volumes on College Road stay where they're at. So I'm just gonna say, I mean, that's where I kind of want some feedback from the group of, we know it's not gonna be easy to go out and try to take College Road from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. And this is something I think we are looking to fast and the various committees to like really say, hey, we want you to go do it, or we don't know that we can do it right now either, like, because it'll be ugly.
Would you like me to
I would.
calendar this on our technical committee and policy board to see if they'll support the 3-lane concept? Seems like that might be out of order, but
It probably is out of order, but it also gives us that assurance before we nominate, before we go through the process of completing a nomination and trying to go forward, that local government is on board, local,
I think it works to your point of this is the way we make it not feel like we're doing this to you is there has to be some of those out of order conversations so that we all understand where we're coming from and where we want to go. And
I can do that. As long as that's not stepping on toes. I mean, I can't predict the outcome of the opinion.
and you know what, whichever way it goes, then we know, right? I think that's fine.
And I think at this point, it's a discussion, not a decision, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there was a motion made by our board, it would be in support or not support. It'd be that simple. It's not like we're making a decision. Obviously, it's DOT's decision. But
So yeah, I think we could, Tim or Nathan, or the combination of them, could come and, give this, this is when it went to, this is when it stayed 4 lane, this is what's happening to the driveway. We can pull together all those bits and pieces we have into a.
And I do have a typed up history of the.
Excellent.
The
The history of
on
College
Road. Well, starting from the study. Through kind
And
of
this-
what happened and where it got to, and why it went away. I mean, I do have that. That's been kind of high interest over the years.
Comes up every few years.
Yep.
Again, so.
We can probably collect some more data. If more specific.
Okay, I have an action item. Thank you.
So the other, I think. Fun one, is Badger, and, I think this came up with Nordale PD. Why are you at Nordale PD and not at one of the intersections on Badger? We were waiting to see what happened with our Badger Road project. I haven't looked at like specifically this year's data, but, just looking at some stuff I did know, I know like the interaction between Rep and Marigold is a problem. Nordale's continues to be a problem. Badger Gas, PD Homes. But Badger Gas, I think, continues to have crashes. Thank you. There was a road safety audit done on Badger Road in 2015. I don't think anybody in this room was a participant in that. We've had that much. I know the borough was.
Helen was on.
Helen and George, yeah. And so one of the recommendations in the Badger Road safety audit was to consider roundabouts if and when safety or operations got to that point. So I know Nathan last year had them get traffic counts before while school was in session so that we get that mix in it. So I know Tim is going to look at do any of them meet signal warrants where roundabouts first state. So that would be, we would propose a roundabout before a signal. But that's another one that we're doing some more deep diving on. And that's another one that maybe we pair them up, Jackson, of talking about College and what's the appetite for roundabouts on Badger Road?
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. Yeah, obviously take those up separately, but we'll take those up during the same meeting, so, because I see you guys are really trying to get this. pushed. Well, you're trying to identify projects in May, right, or by May?
Trying to identify them in May. We have some left to get them written. I mean, we're
Our
working
next
on,
meetings
but
would be May 6th, May 20th for technical policy board.
if you have.
I would
room,
really
then
like the
we-
technical to weigh in. Give whatever advice or recommendations they have to our board. So, because it's a much larger group, you know, different professionals. and focuses.
Yeah, and one of the, things that we can talk about, one of the advantages of some sort of intersection improvements on Badger Road is, providing better pedestrian crossings.
Yes.
Because right now you just cross your fingers and go.
Yeah.
Yes,
Are you saying to replace the existing lighted intersections with roundabouts or just pepper more?
so the only, um, in sense of lighting, are you talking highway lighting or traffic signal? So the one at, Holmes Montgomery, no, Holmes. Hurst, thank you. And the other end, Montgomery, Holmes, Montgomery, yeah.
Government comes out of Wainwright.
Yeah, so those I don't.
Then the old
Now we're
ones
looking at the ones in the middle.
So you'd be looking at unsignalized intersections.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I can do
so
that.
here I was like telling everybody at a meeting last week, let's try to go low controversy, and I'm also hearing this meeting going, these are controversial, but.
These
This
are
is
the front page.
my hometown, so I'm like, these are.
Yep.
Long needed, but, okay, so then what else we had? We had airport, eastbound.
Airport eastbound was the next one on the screening list, you know.
And when we say eastbound, it's because they do divide our crashes based on which side of the road they're on. Obviously, you're not doing something eastbound airport that you're not also doing to westbound airport. I don't know if any of that is at Cushman, which I know there's projects still in design at Cushman. Tiger has historically been a problem, and I think we looked at.
Yeah,
Some
well, let me
studies
talk
there.
about that real
Okay.
briefly here. So, yeah, we had previously proposed funding for a Pegger Airport intersection study and kind of looking up, segments on
Yeah.
both sides. That was kind of pushed off since we have a few projects at Pioneer Park and the bike path in that area. What we're thinking now, which I believe Lauren Little supports, but what we talked about at our technical committee last week was that really what Pegger Road needs is a corridor study, like from the Johansson all the way down to Van Horn. And there's definitely freight movement issues down at the Van Horn intersection, but there's the whole corridor needs to look. And for whatever reason, we got a lot of public input on Pegger Road. We're doing our long range plan update. And so, yes, Airport Way is the ugliest road in Fairbanks, but Pegger Road, got a lot of comments on a lot of different issues, lack of lighting, different things that are going on there. So we're going to be proposing in our staff work plan, which we call UPWP or Unified Plan Work Program, to fund a corridor study on Pegger Road. Because I think that there's a lot of improvements needed on a lot of different types of improvements. So we'll be presenting that next month to our technical committee with policy board for release for public comment, a proposal to fund a corridor study.
Excellent, and I'm glad you mentioned this. Also triggered me to talk about something else. We did look at Pegger Airport for HSIP 8-9 years ago, and there's some utility issues there that basically priced us out of the project.
Okay.
So that's a tough one for us under the HSIP program, so we'd have to, maybe find a different way to go forward. Sorry, the corridor study made me think of Geist. Geist is on our list. What we did not want to do, and again, just being open about this, is we didn't want to go forward with an HSIP project that could end up being contrary to what the study goes. That in our screening, we basically backed away from Geist, saying we're going to wait for what the corridor study suggests. Of course, we do have the vulnerable road user assessment for Geist in draft form that has some recommendations, but that really at this point is going to the corridor study team to continue. So it's not that we're ignoring Geist, it's that we don't want to go do something that's contrary to what is the desired outcome.
So if we fund a corridor study on Pegger Road, would that also put Pegger Road on pause in the HSIP process or not necessarily?
Sort of depends on how big the scope of the corridor study sort of is. Right now, our problem area is airport to Sanduri. I think that's the 2 mile stretch that showed up.
Yes.
Lauren did have us look at lighting last year, and we actually don't have like a higher ratio of crashes during dark hours than during light hours, so. Yes, people don't like it to start, but people are still driving fairly safe in that condition. So it could, but you know, we also as part of that, you know, we can present what the crashes are, and what we know about them.
Okay, well, anyways, you know what we're doing. And
But a lot of this is just kind of a conversation to make sure we all know what each other's doing for sure. Johansson,
Johansson, yeah, that was, the three, so there's 2 serious and 1 fatal that occurred, and they were, fortunately, all motorcycle related and, speeding, in one way, shape, or another, so no, really.
no solid engineering countermeasure for that. That's
Yeah.
more of a
Yeah.
behavioral one.
And then Dennis Road, which we touched on, which was the one-off pedestrian, late at night, flat, dark clothing, walk on the side of the road.
And when we say one off, it's if we had, if there were other crashes of any severity that were sort of along that same vein, then we would say, okay, there's a pattern here, but that was a sort of a unique crash for that road. Don't know, are there Dennis Road projects on the fast side? Okay.
We're Holmes Road touching Dennis. And a little mini roundabout going in there.
at the intersection, yeah.
I've not seen sidewalks.
No, there's nothing. That's why I was wondering if there was. I know a
Well, I
lot
think
of the
that
roads
there's
out there.
yeah, there's a separated path. Not listed in our non-motorized plan and our long-range transportation plan because of the connection up to the school. But there is no proposal construction of the roadway or resurfacing or anything that we have in codes.
I know last year, worked with Nathan and Tim to look at the non-motorized plan. To see what we could take forward from that. I know there was a hiccup with Lathrop, with the railroad crossing. But that is, you know, those are the sorts of things that we look to existing plans to see what could, we could possibly take. So we have, it's the vulnerable road user special rule, sometimes called penalty, but it's not a penalty. If 15% or more of our crashes statewide, of our fatalities statewide are vulnerable road user, then we trigger the vulnerable road user rule, and we have to spend 15% of our HSIP funds on vulnerable road user projects. I'm really hoping to build up a suite of low-cost vulnerable road user projects because we find ourselves in this pickle every year where we have a few low-cost ones and then we're waiting on one big one to deliver, and that just puts us at a lot of risk for meeting the special rule. So particularly with the walk, ride, and roll, did I get that right? It was BPAC when I was on it. If there's a suite of lower cost ones, we're less. Data is great. We're less focused on the data because we have to have these projects. So if they're identified in any sort of a plan or there's, you know, any sort of thing that we could use, and you guys have counts at locations. So that is definitely an area where we would love some feedback from the MPO on, you know, obviously, again, we don't want to get into one $6 million project that like, it doesn't make it, we're in trouble again. So that we have that balance. And it goes without saying the majority of this problem exists in the Anchorage Bowl. And we are working on projects down there for sure. But we would love to have some in $500,000 range so we can, our minimum spend is about 6.4 million a year, I think. Every year we trigger that route, so. And we did trigger it again last year.
Minimum 6 million.
Statewide.
Road user projects.
Yep, statewide.
That's the 15%. Okay, yep. Yeah, we should check our plans for Dennis. That's easy to do. They're on our website. But we can refresh our memory, send some screenshots over to Nathan. But I think a separated path along Dennis would be a couple million. Not quite in that price range, but
Possibly we could chunk it up. Another way to do it. Yeah, are there any ideas for safety projects that anybody has that, you know, obviously this is our screen data, but we are open to figuring out other ways to still have it be data driven. So we can look for other sources of data, but
well, I have a question since Olivia pulled up a moose map. This has always been, I guess, one of my personal interest, because I live on the Hot Springs Road and there's a particular location where moose are struck. You know,
Near Amanita?
three or four moose are killed per year at this, like, it's always this segment of the road. I drive by it. I mean, and I know UAF did a research project where they identified, you know, different treatments to
lowering the speed limit to 45 miles an hour is always the winner.
lowering the speed limit. It's, you know, brush clearing so that you see the moose hundreds of feet before it gets to the edge of the road. There's things you can do with some fencing. It's not that you're eliminating the crossing, but you're diverting the moose to a place where they're much more visible, not on a curb. You know, those types of, I feel like these are low cost projects, because when a vehicle hits moose, I mean, I don't know, 50-50 chance whether you're gonna live. It's
So
there's
statistics would not agree with you. There are
okay.
very few serious injury or fatal crashes resulting from a moose collision.
Oh, wow.
The moose generally doesn't make it.
Right.
That's why I said we always have it on there, because it's of high interest. Nobody wants to hit a moose. It's scary to hit a
Right.
moose, right? But we're not finding that they're resulting. Motorcycle into moose is, yeah, that's bad combination.
Yeah.
We've got a few of those fatalities out there. But it's not a high severity outcome most of the time. Which is why we haven't thrown a lot of HSIP money at moose.
Well, that answers my question.
Put the moose crossing signs.
Right.
Moose language instead of.
Hey, crossing. Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Hey, thanks, Nathan, Pam, for the presentation. I just got a general question about that ranking you were talking about. It said, what, cost effectiveness? Is that a cost benefit? Like, is it reduced to dollars?
Yes.
Doesn't work dollars?
Reduction in crash costs after so we use a crash modification factor that we apply to crashes, and each crash severity has a value.
It has a value.
Right.
Value.
And then, so if we say there's gonna be a 24% reduction, and we do that, we factor in the maintenance costs and that sort of thing, then so we predict that, okay, we're gonna have a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 or a 1/2-to-1 outcome in reduction in crash costs.
You know, for people to buy into a project like College Road, if they had that information and said that you just determined that it was ranked the highest,
Yeah,
you know, shows, say, the cost benefit of doing this work saves a life, which is worth 3 million or whatever, however you're doing it, right?
yeah, and that one's easy for me because I know that one off the top of my head. It's 29% crash reduction in all crash types to go from 4-lane to 3-lane.
But
The only
it's,
one we throw out the animal crash.
but
But
it is reduced to dollars somehow.
So it
for
reduces the
comparison
cost of
with other
society.
projects,
Yeah, it reduces the societal cost of,
societal costs.
right, it's the cost of the human and the, you know, the loss. It's based off the statistical
But it
value of
points
life.
of some
and how-
kind or something, right? I mean, it's not a subjective thing.
It's
You
not
actually have-
subjective, yeah.
Okay,
It
thanks.
can be hard to discuss, right? The value of a life.
Well, I know,
Same
but
as when we
that's
talk
really
about
how you
mortality.
came with your ranking.
Yeah,
I just wanted to
You're right,
understand
there's discrete numbers behind all of these things that would allow us to do direct comparison.
Right.
So when we develop our funding plan, that's where the ranking comes in. And so the highest ranked projects theoretically get their funding first, right? You know, and it's up to what.
Well, what's your ranking?
Right, so that's where the ranking piece comes in, is when we have too many projects for funding, then we want to get the ones that have the greatest bang for the buck out there first.
Are you given a certain amount of money
We,
that you put your projects towards, or you
Yes.
put your projects and then you ask for more money?
so we have an allocation out of the
Okay, yeah.
federal pot, right? That is HSIP. And then we get money, state of Alaska doesn't have an open container law or the right open container law or a repeat offender law that meet the national standards. So our, regular funding is penalized. That's why it's called a penalty fund. And so there's about 28 million in penalty funds. Most of that gets transferred to the HSIP program. This last year, I think with the tiny bit of rollover we had, we were in the neighborhood of, I want to say 75 million. So we're still only like 5.5% to 6% of the overall DOT budget, but it's nothing to sneeze at.
Okay.
But you're right, that there's a line we eventually have to draw. And the funding is complicated enough that it's never that exact. And there's all these other factors that come in, but yes, we have a defined amount of money, and at some point we have to make that line across this great spreadsheet and say that we're done. It's where we're at.
Thank you again.
Is closing a road an option?
You like those controversies, right?
Like,
No.
yes,
No,
okay. We go back in.
Doing a roundabout at PD Nordale, what if we were to close PD off and move that roundabout to Badger and Nordale, which is as much of a dangerous intersection and at much higher speeds, and drive that traffic to that intersection rather than have another four-way intersection that's built of nothing but straight roads? And then a follow-up, is there any way we can write Subaru and ask them to join Henricks so that we have a fair balance between
Right.
Corvettes and foresters?
So closing the road could be an option. Again, it's what level of controversy are we gonna go at? And Bob probably remembers, like, the little piece of Old Steves the little piece of Trainer Gate between Steves and Old Steves is one that comes up pretty often. And at one point it was tossed about, like, do we close it? Do we close it? Do we make it one way? Like, these are conversations that we're having. I don't think that was an HSIP conversation. I think that had more to do with lots of things going on, but, sure, everything's on the table, but,
Well, I mean.
let's say the mayor.
Yeah. One side of PD, and that would be the side that connects to Badger Road in between Badger Gas and PD.
Through, yeah.
Where the accidents happen, as a lot of people run that stop sign, by having a dead end road there, that would solve all of the people running the stop sign 100% of the time, and force everybody that roundabout on Badger and Nordale, slow everything down there to 25 or 30 miles an hour, and two birds with one stone for the same amount of spend, dollars and cents wise.
Yeah, we closed part of McGrath. Was that wasn't a fast.
We cut, yeah.
Yeah, we took one.
That was the fast part, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we cut.
Took one
of the
off.
flaps off, yep. Shortcut.
Like a good idea, if you had a non-motorized connection there. When I lived on that side of, when I lived off of Springs Road, I'd ride my bike down PD to Badger. That was always the scariest part, was that intersection right at the gas station.
Oh, for sure. That's another terrible one, along with Rep and Marigold. That's always been a rook on Badger Road, so.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things you have to look at too. You're diverting traffic, where you're diverting it to, and what's the impact of that.
If I live over there, I think they want the fire trucks to have as much access to my place as possible from multiple. And they would still have that in terms of how it works. Thoroughfare roads there, they're real close. They would still have that access.
There's a little neighborhood road there. I think it's Black Lloyd or something. I think that would turn into the way people are going from PD to Nordale.
Make their own shortcut.
Right. So I feel like that would have to be shut off too.
was PD that one. One way.
That's why I said it's high controversy.
We already got two high controversy ones we can take out.
Oh, it could be a distraction, or consider this.
Different people.
Paul, what do you think, my son?
So any other safety project ideas to share? In your DT? I know we're focused on Trainer Gate and F Street right now with some speed tables out there. I think there needs to be a bigger long-term fix. Like an actual traffic signal or something out there, but that's, yeah.
Yeah, you probably eliminate the turning lane on Trainer Gate, really.
But we do have,
Or would that
we do have a
be-
project
there is
for
gonna be a
Jennifer's
process. Would that be
safety.
that be HSIP? Can it be an F shape, put it at the top of the list?
Who knows?
Is the railroad willing to have a signal now?
Yeah.
Like that was the issue the last time when we started talking was the.
The railroad said that
Somebody would-
they would agree to a traffic signal, but not necessarily an RFB or a HOP. But they would agree to a traffic signal. Just because it wouldn't constitute an issue of control. Yeah, the only other one in my mind was the pedestrian bridge being removed on Geist Road.
That's
The
in
high
the-
school
Access.
access and circulation study, and one of the primary recommendations that I think was supported by the schools was the new signalized intersection, basically between Hutch and West Valley, and then realigning the entrance to the parking lots to that intersection, so you eliminate the driveways on Geist Road right after University. But a signalized intersection would provide that safe crossing for students over to McDonald's.
If it ever opens.
If it ever reopens. If it ever reopens. But the corridor, the Geist Road corridor study will, take a look at that
Yeah, that's what I was.
and all the other intersections and issues out there, so.
Is
Feed
the intersection at Airport Way and Cushman, is that the highest priority? Airport Way
I,
and Cushman, there's
we haven't,
going through right to the sidewalk,
yeah, we haven't scored things by intersection in a decade. That's one of our new crash platform. We hope to be able to get back to, having our intersection. So I really don't know, Bob.
The truck ran into the,
Yeah,
and then there was a motorcycle. Person killed there, 3, 4, 5 years
that,
ago.
that next year, that project starts.
I don't have an update, but yeah, I'm really hoping it goes construction next year. I mean, it's designed, but yeah, there was the contaminated soils and the overall cost of the project, but it's not HSIP funded.
It's not.
That's what I was getting, that's what I got wrong, it's not.
It's not HSIP funded, yeah. But it'll still move forward soon.
So there are other communities that have done a pretty good job with some low-cost, quick response type of projects for the vulnerable road users. And I wonder if it's not worth doing some research and finding out what those are. I think there's even some that have like manuals of which put down different project types and that sort of thing. I've read quite a bit about it on Dynamism and APA planning. So I would think with just a little bit of research, we could find wealth of resource. Those lower cost projects.
Yeah, the quick builds, those sorts of things, definitely, and I'll point out, those aren't restricted to HSIP too, like some of those can be rapid research or, there's other ways of funding some of those. We want to pilot this, try this sort of thing.
Our research, nomination window is open currently as well. That's superintendent. That's our longer term 2-year Usually larger dollar value research, but the rapid research is up to 50,000. That's a big amount. Until we
And there are lots of things like Don's talking about. Yes, or the BRU things, there's also like quick build mini roundabouts until you get with the bigger one or, you know, and again, that balance of the VRU user, the car user, the freight user, like it's keeping everything, we want everybody to have what they need. So it's can be a challenge to do something for freight, not do something negative unintended for somebody else. So.
we're trying to, you know, yes, we don't want to jump ahead of a plan that, or a study that FAST is about to do. But at the same time, we want to get away from, it takes us a while to have the crash data, and then we wait for a study, and then we put something in design, and now we're 4 years down the road.
Yeah.
We have a very different situation, and maybe we're putting the wrong solution in, given that we've had 7 years go by.
Yeah.
And so part of it is, well, we don't want to step on each other. We want to make sure that we're intaking more real-time data and getting projects out as fast as we can. And that just means we need to shift to quick build by.
The one thing in the latest MUTCD, I don't know if you guys are aware of, is the new retroreflectivity requirements for pavement markings, long lines, not the transfers. It's going to be any road 35 miles an hour or greater and ADT greater than 6,000.
And is that the 2016,
The 11th edition, so the 2023, the one that
2023?
You have been adopted?
it has.
The 23 yet been adopted?
Yeah,
Okay.
in January.
2023.
You guys, you do some striping on your own, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so be aware of that you have to have. They do, the MUTCD, I think enough of the northern tier states kind of fought back during the process. We do get a pass for, you know, not having it immediately after snow season because we tend to.
So the ATM reference 2023 MUT.
Correct, so now it's the 11th edition.
Yeah, okay.
So just be aware of that. Yeah.
Send you an email.
Oh, now.
They're not giving us enough fun.
It's not a challenge.
It's a challenge. Okay, well, I guess big outcome is we're gonna come back at the May meeting.
Yeah. Yep.
See what the appetite is.
Yep.
Yeehaw.
Sounds good. Yes, we'll talk about college and Badger firehouse at the May technical. And possible meetings. See what looks there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
That's that time.
We'll do that next and yeah.
Um,
Send this up again for next year.
like you mentioned, sounds like this approach, but please provide us feedback. If there's something we can bring to you today, if there's something you think of later, let us know, because our goal is to shift how it's done.
Yeah. Oh, yes, this is great.
And certainly to do it every year.
Yep. All right, everybody.
Well, thank you.
We'll close out at 1:20.
We decided to stay. I'm glad we did. It's called 20. We haven't done anything.